Now when people think of an Italian classic sports car, they might think of the Lamborghini Miura, Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale, or even the Ferrari 250 GTO. But people don't really think of this.
This is the car in question. The Ferrari Mondial T, a symphony of elegance, classical, inviting, and a GTO's younger brother.
Now, not saying this is forgotten about, but is in fact the opposite, with its very unique styling by Pininfarina. Now this 80s classic not only looks good, but is very reminiscent of the Ferrari 308, and was actually the one to replace it. And this leads me nicely onto the production of this car, which was from 1988, unlike the Mondial 8, which started in 1980. And this car's production went all the way up to 1993. But also, you can notice it has pop-up headlights, which makes it 1,000 times better. I wonder what Japanese car manufacturer took that idea. Now, the name Mondial, where does that come from? Well, it's a French word which means global, and Ferrari used this nameplate on the 1950s F1 Championship. The T stands for transverse, which means where the engine is being put in sideways. Now this Ferrari is the last ever V8 mid-engined four-seater Ferrari built, which means it's quite special. And while we're at the back, we might as well look at the engine. So all Mondial variants are fitted with a V8, and it was originally from a Ferrari 206 GT. So all they did really was add 2 more cylinders on it, pretty much. And this is a 3.4 litre V8, producing around 300 horsepower, which I imagine in a convertible would take your head off. And also the sound with this, the soundtrack, I can imagine is absolutely perfection. Okay, so now we make our way into the interior, which is simply fantastic. Now, the interior is finished in this lovely black leather, accompanied with an exceptional use of vinyl dashboard, top and underdoor linings. Now, all the seats on the Mondial, including the rear, are all bucket shaped, which means it already has that race pedigree there for you, which is nice. So this Ferrari is fitted with a 5-speed manual gearbox and also fitted with a limited slip differential, which is very cool for the 80s. I particularly love the very 90s style dash and dials there, and also the very 90s style radio system. So you may have noticed this is also left-hand drive, which means that the car has been imported from Italy. So actually it's the most original you can get. But let's talk about the center console down here. There's various buttons that I don't really know what they do, but I can only imagine this one is to control the fans at the front, which obviously gets the cool air into the car, especially on a hot day like this. And you have obviously the standard locking, lights, door locks, parking, and there's a button called stop, which I'm guessing is if you want to suddenly stop the car for whatever reason. And then obviously you have the AC, heated seats, well not heated seat, heated window in fact, and the buttons on here show the fuel filler cap buttons, and there's 3 buttons that look the exact same but do 3 different things, which is, I don't know why they even decided to do that. That's very Italian, that is. So another thing the Italians have prepared for the future is the ability to actually put your mobile phone in the center console. Now obviously in the 80s you would have an iPhone XR to put that in there, so they obviously thought of that. And also it has electric windows, which is actually quite nice instead of having to do that all day. However, the aerial is manual, so I don't know why they decided to do a manual aerial as opposed to an electric one when they've already got electric windows. Who knows? Italians are very unpredictable, especially in World War II. Yeah. Now, as I've mentioned already, this car has more than 2 seats. In fact, it has 4 seats. However, there isn't that much room back here. But Ferrari themselves say it can accommodate the occasional seating for children and small adults like myself. So actually, if you are looking for a classic Italian 4-seater family sports car, then I'm sitting in it.
Having given my professional review, I decided to show off some more family-friendly features.
Now, like I said before, it's suitable for a family, and the reason for that is because it has the back seats can actually go down, and well, not very well, but you can also get more shopping in there if the wife suddenly takes it out for a drive. But if we head around to the back of the car again, the boot space, now that is important as well. I'm surprised because the engine's there, like I said, it's mid-engined, but the boot is also there as well. And a very cool thing that comes with the Ferrari Mondial T is the very own branded toolbox, which I particularly like, except I don't see how often you'll use it particularly, but I mean, it's there if you need it. And in terms of boot space, you could probably get a medium-sized child in there if you wanted to. I don't recommend that though. And then we want to move back to the front, which also has storage. Now, like a lot of Ferraris, the front bonnet actually opens as well, but forwards. And you can see in there is, again, some more space for maybe a spare tyre, because you'll definitely need that. And you can see the front fans there will obviously get all the air in. And the tyres and the rims are obviously very reminiscent of the 308 GTB and other 308 models. But fun fact, the rear tyres are actually bigger than the front ones, which means you might be able to get a bit of drifting action going on there. I don't recommend that either though. Right, so before we end this episode, I'm going to give a quick, brief startup. Listen to that V8. That. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ferrari Mondial T. Fantastic Italian design, accompanied with a 3.4 litre V8, and not extremely expensive. So that wraps up this episode of the Grand Teen. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye. I'll leave you in the hands of the lovely Ferrari.